Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Unthink Podcast. Today we have with us Brandi Guccion. And thank you so much, Brandi, for joining us. It was really amazing meeting you at the DFW REA event. I think that's where we met. And
Yeah,
I'd love to hear more about you and tell the audience more about yourself and your background.
absolutely. Thank you for having me, Tina. This is great. I really enjoy talking about your company, and I'm excited to talk to you today. So I started out in advertising, and then for the past 20 years, I've been in retail marketing. I've had a number of marketing roles within various retailers across discount, mass, and jewelry. Most recently, I was the vice president of marketing at Signet Jewelers for Banter by Piercing Pagoda. And in that role, I handled all of marketing, including brand, digital marketing, and our e-com business.
Awesome. Yeah. So you had a great variety in your roles, right? You worked with jewelry, you worked with the other big box retail
Mhm.
stores, and you worked across brand marketing, digital. What was your favorite job in all of these? Like, which was your favorite role? Which did you really love?
Um, I've learned and taken lessons from all of the jobs that I've had. I would say probably the last role that I had, I loved the most, just because one, I that brand had just been spun off into its own business, and so I got to start the marketing department, hire a team, build a team, and I touched every aspect of the marketing. So helped to set the tone, did a rebrand. I just was able to touch so much of that and felt like I really impacted the people I worked with, the brand, and then also sales. It was most impactful. So it was really rewarding.
Yeah, yes. So the ability to make impact is important for everybody, especially when you
Absolutely.
work in a larger setup. And there are so many legacy processes that come in the
Hmm.
way sometimes of innovation. They come in the way of doing things in a better way.
Yes.
And today, in the age of AI, we're seeing that agility is the biggest superpower, right?
Right.
Because the brands that do adopt technology, do adopt new ways of working, adopt to the Gen Z and the new demands of marketing are going to be ahead of the game
Yeah,
today.
absolutely. And when
Yeah.
you work in a large corporation, there's pros and cons. It's great because you have a lot of resources. You
Yes.
have procurement teams and you have, larger budgets and you have more people behind the scenes helping out. But at the same time, those are the exact reasons that sometimes it's a con. With that
Yeah.
comes process. You try to onboard a vendor and it can take 6 months, just going through all of the legal, all of the hoops that you have to go through in a large corporation. So it does sometimes hinder the ability to be agile.
Yeah.
Luckily, my last role, my band president was very pro adopting new things and trying new things. And so we were able sometimes to get things started a little faster, but that is a problem with large corporations, absolutely.
Yeah. So how do you tell me something about the last role in terms of the process? So you were a brand marketer. So what were the KPIs and what did you? So when you so there are multiple stages in the customer acquisition flow, right? Like first is the brand awareness, then their engagement, how often they come to your site, then the finally
Right.
down the funnel. And I think typically today the funnel is not linear. It doesn't necessarily start from one and go to n. There are people who might just like immediately see something and want to buy it right there, versus
Right.
people who take a longer cycle because they want to go through the entire process. So tell me
Absolutely.
about the process and tell me about what sort of KPIs you were tracking. How did you go about, the whole process of customer acquisition?
Yeah. So we were driving both to store and to e-com.
Hmm.
And we had both products and piercings as a service.
Hmm.
And so, our KPIs and kind of what we were driving to sometimes varied. And so we did acquisition activities, but then we also had performance marketing to drive e-com. So it was a lot of marrying activities. We would do things like PR. We had in-store signage. We had, at one point, we were running online video and display, things that were more acquisition. And then we also then were doing further down the funnel a lot of, search and affiliate and SMS and email and things that were focused more on gaining e-com purchase, and then also customer retention. And I think that's one huge part of the funnel now. Obviously, there's upfront, looking at your website in order to decide if they even want to purchase. There's the customer acquisition, there's maintaining that consideration, there's purchase, but then now I think retention is even more important than it ever been.
Yeah. And I believe customer loyalty is much lower than it used to be just because there are so many options. Gen Z behavior is very different from traditional consumers because they go first to Instagram or TikTok to find inspiration, right? How do you think marketers can react to this from a brand perspective?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a huge problem. Loyalty is at an all-time low, and I think that's because, one, as you mentioned, more competition than ever before. Two, the economy, people are looking at price. I think the past couple of years, we've really trained customers not to buy things at full price, wait for a sale. And then three, I think also because of fast fashion, everything has a shorter cycle. Everything is trendier and people aren't looking to buy things for the long term, it feels like. So I think it's really important for brands to focus on a couple of things. Number one, retention of their existing customers. And that can be done through things like their email, SMS, organic, social, but continuing to provide relevant, interesting content to keep those customers engaged. And often it's re-engagement campaigns as well, if they haven't purchased in a while, but really retaining those customers that they do have and drawing frequency. And then I think it's so important in this economy for brands not to completely pull back on their marketing spend and cut awareness. I think right now it's really easy for people to just focus on performance marketing and really just focus in on making sure that they're driving instant sales. But there has to be an element of maintaining that brand awareness right now, and really creating that long-term relationship with customers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what happens, in my view, let me know if you agree or not. There was a time when much bulk of the money was spent on brand marketing and awareness because there was an assumption that if you do a great job of branding, people will come to you and remember you and then shop. And then later there was a change saying that, okay, there's a lot of, you need to track whether that's actually making money or not because budgets started dropping. And now there is the opposite trend where a lot of brands are looking at, okay, I'll only do this if it makes sense and if it's going to result in a direct conversion. But unfortunately, the customer doesn't care about where the brand is spending money, and the customer's attention span is so low that you have to be, the brand has to be a top of the mind recall. The brand has to engage the customer and convert them all at the same time.
Right. You have to have that entire mix. You have to have, filling the funnel, then also driving people down the funnel. You have to do all of it. I've seen a lot of think pieces recently about Nike and how they've always been, in demand. And in the past year or two, they had focused more on conversion tactics, really focusing on ROI. And that's one reason why belief is they're losing share and sales are down, which is fascinating because when you think about Nike, you think about brand. But even them, when you take your foot off the brake and you stop branding, you see the results.
Yes, because there are a lot of other sports brands that do a lot of community building, right? They do events, they do running club events, and they have whole community around I think Luke Lockers, if I remember, had something. They used to be like a running club, and then they had completely. So it's not just about, oh, Nike is an awesome brand and has great products, but people still forget because there are other brands also.
Right, exactly.
So I think there are two places where consumers are found in bulk, right? One is on social media. So, everybody, especially the younger generation, is on Instagram and TikTok. And then that's the digital. And that's where the digital of concentration of consumers is. And then the other place is, of course, the store shoppers, because they like the experience of going to the store and seeing the products and just, walking around and things. So how do you think how do you think brands can leverage either of these concentrated spots of consumers? Like from the store, I know you've been working with many big box stores. what innovations do you think work very well, and what you think might not work, or might not did not work earlier but might work today?
Yeah. I really think that you have to give people a reason to want to go to the store.
Mm,
Like you talked about, there's so much competition. You can buy directly on social. You don't ever have to leave your phone anymore, and you can get products in the next day or two.
yeah.
So you have to give people a reason to want to go to the store. And I think it's really about creating a great customer experience. And that can be done a couple of ways. Number one, I think it's in merchandising. I think you
Mhm.
have to make your product easy to shop, but also interesting and have a sense of discovery and make it fun.
Yeah.
I think Target used to do a really good job of that. A little bit less so now, but it used to be really fun to walk through a Target, which you were fine. And then second, I think it's really about the store employees creating that customer experience. If they're really in tune with the brand purpose, if they know who the customers are, and then they're really creating that customer experience.
Mhm.
I think those are the two key pieces to in-store. And then in digital, to your point, that's where customers are. So you have to meet them where they are. And so, I think it's making it easy to shop. Being able to shop directly through Facebook, being able to shop through TikTok, being able to shop through Messenger. Really figuring out how to make it easy. There's lots of ways to reach them, whether it's influencers or ads. Once they see you, you have to make it really easy to convert right where they are.
Yeah. Basically, shorten the journey from this. First of all, enable discovery, and second is shorten the journey from discovery to purchase.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, as you know, Unthink platform offers a way for social to get to the store. So you can
Mm-hmm.
put up a kiosk in the store where the social media campaigns, videos, blogs, etc., get converted to a shoppable list of products. So now, let's say I walk into Target, or I walk into Signet Jewelers, or any brand. What if I can see inspiration that's there from social? Now I'm already in the store, and I'm also seeing what's in trend. So that helps my
Mm-hmm.
decision, and it also helps discovery. And then I choose some product from the store, from the kiosk, and then I can talk to the store assistant. Or maybe
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at this kiosk at all, because I know a lot of big stores have tried kiosks and didn't have the ability for people to actually go there and use it. Like,
Yeah.
people did not go, right? People just walk right by it. So then
Yeah.
what if the so tell me about that.
Yeah.
I'm very, very curious about kiosks, because it while technically it seemed like a great opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
I know that a lot of brands invested a lot of money but did not succeed in getting that
Yeah.
connect.
Yeah.
What what
Yeah.
what's your experience?
Yeah. We tested digital screens that
Mm-hmm,
had virtual try on, it had inspiration from social, it had all of
mm-hmm,
that.
mm-hmm,
Um, and it was really hard to get people to come over and use it.
mm-hmm,
So really what it almost became was a commercial that was bright and exciting, would pull people into our store, our kiosk,
mm-hmm.
but the actual machine itself was pretty low.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting.
yeah, I don't know why. I think part of it is because you can do the same thing on your phone. So if you have
Yes.
it on your phone, why do you need to walk over? It's a different machine. So I
Mm-hmm,
think it has to be, you know, this inspiration you get either while you're scrolling social or when you're standing at store, and that experience becomes seamless,
mm-hmm,
seamless retail between what's happening on your phone to then you turn to you're at the store, you say, I want this, to a store
mm-hmm.
employee, or, y'all can get out your phone together and explore. I think that's more the solution that we think of, rather than investing in additional digital within the store.
Yeah. And I think one of the reasons is also possibly that the kiosks were clunky, and the
Mm-hmm.
interfaces were not good enough. It was more of like you click and you wait for some time
Mm-hmm.
for them to come
Right.
up.
Right.
Nowadays, you have much better quality screens, and you have better scrolling and
Right.
search abilities.
Exactly.
I've seen some good examples of kiosks, like in shopping centers, where you have a search for a product, and it'll show you which stores have the product,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. But I
Mm-hmm.
completely agree that people are still much more used to their own personal devices, and
Mm-hmm.
probably
Right.
would rather just look up the app. Like, if I'm in Target, of course, the big box retailers have the advantage that customers do install the apps and keep the apps all on.
Right.
if you've
Right.
got the loyalty and if you've got the close affinity to the store.
Right.
But then once
Right.
you search on your app, then you can say, okay, I have a coupon for blah blah
Hmm.
product, and I can go
Right.
uh, to the aisle and get it. That's one thing.
Right.
The other one is
Right.
trends. So in terms of knowing what the trends are, I still think it's a nice idea to have like a display of all the trends, especially if you're bringing the social, because customers are not looking at that store's social media. They're looking at general Instagram, and they can get
Hmm.
diverted or lost. So what if they've already come to the store, so they've already established that they like the brand. Now if they see,
Hmm.
now if the brand is able to tell you, oh, this is the latest style of jewelry,
Right.
and and also second step, make it relevant to the customer by offering maybe it's store assistants, like you said, the human touch.
Hmm.
So instead of the
Right.
store assistant just being someone who points you out to an aisle, can the store assistant help you with inspiration and tell you, oh
Right.
yeah, I think you should get this silver stuff because silver is in trend. Or if you're going out for this particular occasion, maybe you should get this line of stuff. It's like Neiman
Right.
Marcus personal
Right.
assistant, but
Right.
everywhere and at scale.
Right.
Right.
Well, and within jewelry, because it is higher touch and it does require customer service. It's really
Exactly.
about asking questions to
Yes.
understand what the customer needs. Do they wear gold? Do they wear silver? Then steering them toward, are they classic? Do they want trends? And then
Yeah.
pointing them to a direction. It's inspiration and it's helping them find what they want, but it's
Yeah.
also listening to the customer and what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But what you were talking about earlier, trends, I think that's some of the stuff that's very important when you're maintaining that relationship and serving them interesting content and social and SMS and email. That's the sort of thing that I think, trends is one of those things that's very important to serve. So they know you have new products, giving them a reason to come back in. Then when
Yeah.
they come in to talk to the store associate, then they can really complete that look.
Yeah, it's almost like a brand's own version of their own social network, because
Yeah.
now, yeah, because Instagram is a place for everybody, and then all the brands are competing. There are ads, there are other distractions, other
Mhm.
content, and people have like
Right.
really, really low attention spans on Instagram.
Right.
Like especially
Right.
reels are so powerful, but the problem is conversions are not necessarily guaranteed on Instagram and Google,
Right.
Facebook, all these platforms.
Right.
I'm curious to know, in your journey through the different channels like social, store, etc. What did you see in terms of influencer marketing, whether it's conversions or brand awareness? What's your, like? If I come and tell you that Instagram is the best channel for acquisition, what would your instant reaction be?
Um, I think that influencers are great for brand awareness and engagement.
Hmm.
What I have always struggled with is correlating sales directly back to those influencers.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not to say you shouldn't do influencers. Like we were talking about
Yeah,
earlier, you do have to do brand driving and awareness driving to keep yourself top of mind.
yeah.
And what I we did several influencer campaigns when I was at Banter by Pearson Pagoda, and what we found was influencers that were unique and had a POV and really were a good brand fit always performed better. They always had
Hmm.
higher engagement than influencers that, were really pretty. But there wasn't anything unique about them. They had higher followers, but that didn't always correlate to engagement or driving people to our brand. So I
Hmm.
think I think influencers are really important as we talk about, that's where customers are. They are on TikTok. They are
Yeah.
on Instagram. I think it's an important part,
Hmm.
but I think it is hard to correlate sales. And so again, it just has to be part of your overall marketing mix.
Hmm.
That it's kind of more awareness and engagement driving versus correlating directly to sales.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. In fact, I feel that some of the gaps of the way that influencer marketing is done today is that influencers, so there are two types of campaigns, right? One is the awareness campaign where they're talking about a brand and why they like a brand, and then they may be showing you like a whole set of products that helps people get the, what do you say, the trust in the brand, especially if it's quite authentic. On the other
Mhm.
hand, there are influencers who showcase one or two products, but then, in my view, one problem with that is that that might not exactly be the product you want. So you might be like, I like this, but then maybe I like it because of the color or the texture or the
Mhm.
shine or the
Mhm.
style, but that might not be the right product. So but that product, that post has to lead to that context. But a lot of times what happens is that it leads to a general category page on the brand's website, and then you get lost, and then by the time you've sort of moved on as a customer. So
Right.
I feel like the ability for an influencer to sort of create a quick collection around what they believe or they
Mhm.
like from the brand is one is
Yeah.
it's more authentic, and second it's the context is right there. So to your point about correlating sales to the
Mhm.
awareness, you're like awareness followed by the same keep the same context until the conversion
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's important to do more than just one post that leads to a general play.
Yeah,
I think if it's more than one post, I think
yeah,
that really creates a more authentic relationship than someone who today is talking about you and tomorrow talking about a whole different brand. And, I think building that relationship with that influencer is important.
yeah.
And then to your point, leading to some site that's, Courtney's picks or who the influencer is, it can be a limited number. It can be 6 items,
Yeah,
but it extends that relationship and really pushes it into the site further. I
right.
totally agree with you. I think that's really
Mhm.
important to do rather than just a one time post that they talk about your brand again and it just goes somewhere general.
Right,
I totally
right.
agree.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, awesome. Okay, so what else? So how's this holiday season coming along? What do you think is the sentiment in the market, and how do you think the shopping sort of mood is building up?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting holiday. Consumers been holding back spending. I think that always happens in an election year.
Yeah.
All of the forecasters are saying this is going to be a great season. But I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. I think in the next, 4 weeks, I think will be really telling.
Yeah.
Even before Black Friday, I think early November, people are really going to know
Mm.
how this is going.
Right, right. Okay. So as your journey went through different careers, different big retailers,
Hmm.
big brands, Uh, what is your superpower? Like, what's your if you had all the decision making powers and the full ability to do whatever you personally thought would be best for the brand and for the consumer experience, what would it be? And what's your real superpower in this whole domain space?
Well, in my superpower is really
Yes.
looking at kind of brand situation, looking at their customers, coming up with a strategy for how you're going to deliver your right message to those customers, inspiring it and getting it done.
Hmm.
So I think it has to vary by brand. It has to vary by situation. It depends. If your customer is younger, then you really absolutely have to make sure that you're on social and that you are on TikTok and that you are on Instagram.
Hmm.
If your customer's slightly older, it may be different. You may rely on Facebook. I think it varies by every brand situation.
Hmm.
But again, I think it's important to have a mix. Important to have the brand awareness, those marketing pieces, the mid funnel that are really driving conversion and driving purchase, and then focusing on that retention.
Right. Great. And do you usually work with, or do you prefer to work with really, really large brands or the mid segment or the starting small business owners? Where is your sweet spot in terms of interest and appetite?
Yeah, so I've worked at some very large corporations, but my last brand was small, and we were able to be more agile and nimble. And I really enjoyed that. So
Hmm.
as I move forward in my career, I'm very open to working at a much smaller brand where you can really jump in, make a difference, be more agile, test and learn, really, explore and make more changes. So I'm very open to a smaller company than what I've worked in the past.
Hmm. Great. Yeah. Thank you very much. It was a great conversation.
Yeah,
And
I enjoyed
please,
this.
yeah, please tell the audience also where they can reach you. Where are you most accessible, and how do they get to you?
Yeah, you can reach out to LinkedIn, Brandi Guccion,
Hmm.
and I'd be happy to hear from anyone. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.